This was only a few months ago, but I still can't believe it actually happened. And every time I think about it, I get that same uneasy knot in my stomach, like I'm back there again, standing in the freezing air with my breath fogging up in front of me, wondering if I had made the dumbest decision of my life. See, I am 22 and still juggling college classes with odd jobs to keep myself afloat. And when the campus cafeteria shut down for winter break, I figured I'd make some extra money driving food deliveries around town, since it was the only thing I could do without needing much thought. But that night in particular felt different, like the world itself had gone quiet under the snow. And I probably should have trusted my instincts when every little thing in me said to just stay home. But instead, I pushed myself out the door because boredom always seems to get me in trouble. So there I was, creeping through neighborhoods coated in fresh white snow, headlights cutting through the flurries as I followed directions to an order that popped up a little after 9. Nothing about it seemed strange at first, just a big order from someone on the outskirts of town. But the longer I drove, the emptier the streets became, houses spreading farther apart, Christmas lights here and there twinkling in the distance. Until eventually, I realized I hadn't passed another car in almost 10 minutes. And when the GPS told me to turn down this narrow road that looked more like a forgotten lane carved into the woods, I hesitated. Even said out loud to myself, no way this is right. But curiosity and the thought of an easy payout got the better of me. So I turned anyway, tires crunching over ice as I followed the dark road deeper into the trees, my phone flickering between one bar of service and none, the map arrow lagging as if it wasn't sure I should even be there. And when the headlights finally picked up a break in the woods, I saw what looked like a rusted metal gate chained loosely with wire. The kind of gate that doesn't really keep anyone out but tells you they probably don't want you there. And yet hanging right in the middle was a wooden sign painted with numbers that matched the delivery address. So I pulled over, heart thudding just a little faster now, climbed out into the bitter air and pushed the gate open enough to squeeze my car through. Though the squeal of the hinges was so sharp and loud in the stillness that it actually made me glance over my shoulder to see if anyone had come out. But of course there was nobody, just the whisper of wind moving through the skeletal trees. So I got back in and drove slowly down what turned out to be a long, uneven gravel drive, potholes filled with ice, branches overhead scraping across the roof like fingernails as I crept along, until eventually I rolled into a small clearing where a house sat alone in the snow. And calling it a house almost feels generous because it looked more like a forgotten cabin, the kind of place someone might have built a century ago and never bothered to update. Boards warped and weather-stained, the porch sagging under the weight of snow, the windows dark as if nobody had lived there for years. And yet the GPS marked it with a bright blue dot, confirming over and over again, you have arrived at your destination. And I just sat there for a minute with the engine humming, staring at that place while my stomach turned cold in a way that had nothing to do with the temperature. But I told myself not to overthink it. Maybe the people inside just liked their privacy. Maybe they didn't bother putting lights out front. Maybe it was just old. So I grabbed the bags of food, 2 heavy sacks full of takeout that smelled almost comforting against the sharp sting of winter air, and walked up the creaking porch steps, my shoes leaving prints in untouched snow that suggested nobody had even come outside in days. And that's when I noticed the front door standing slightly open, not swung wide open, just ajar enough that the warm light of my headlights reached into a shadowy hallway beyond. Though oddly I couldn't hear a single sound. No TV, no footsteps, no voices, just silence thick enough to press on my ears. And I was about to set the bags down and call it a night when a voice drifted out. Calm, but too far casual for the setting. Coming from somewhere deeper in the house. It said, just bring it in. The table's right here. And I froze instantly because it was not just the words but the way they sounded, flat and wrong, like someone repeating a phrase they'd practiced but didn't really mean. And I wanted to back away right then, but against my better judgment, I stepped across the threshold, my shoes crunching softly on grit that had blown in from outside. The smell of old wood and something faintly metallic surrounding me as my eyes tried to adjust to the black interior. The staircase looming ahead just barely visible in the headlights, spilling through the open door. And then the voice came again. Up here, just a few more steps, I'll grab it from you. Only this time it came from higher up, near the top of the stairs, though I swear I hadn't heard a single footstep move. And that was the moment my body screamed at me to get out. Because everything about it was wrong. The silence, the darkness, the fact that whoever it was never turned on a light, never came down to meet me, just lurked in that shadowy upper floor. And I suddenly realized the bags in my hands felt heavier than they should have, like they were pulling me deeper into the house. But I shook it off, muttered something like orders on the porch, loud enough to carry, and backed out as quickly as I could, setting the food down just outside the doorway before practically stumbling down the steps, the crunch of snow under my feet loud in the quiet as I bolted for my car, climbed in and slammed the door. Only then realizing I'd left the driver's side open during the whole thing, like I had been ready to run without knowing it. And when I looked back at the house, the front door was still cracked, nothing had moved, no one had followed, but just as I shifted in reverse, I caught a flicker of movement at one of the upstairs windows, like a pale shape had leaned just close enough for the glass to catch the faint shine of my headlights before slipping back into darkness. And my hands were shaking so bad on the wheel that it took me 2 tries to put the car in gear, gravel spitting under the tires as I tore back down the driveway, the gate clanging behind me as I pushed through. And I didn't stop driving until I reached a main road again, chest tight, throat dry, eyes darting in the rear view mirror even though the woods were empty. And I told myself it was over. I'd just leave it alone. Forget the whole thing. But of course I couldn't, because the longer I thought about it, the more it didn't add up. And a week later, stupid curiosity got the better of me again. So I typed the address into my laptop, expecting to see some obscure listing or a rental. But instead, I found archived articles buried in old town records, reports about that property being seized by the county years ago after a fire drove out the last family who lived there. And the creepiest part wasn't the fire itself, but the note that nobody was supposed to enter until the place was demolished due to unresolved incidents locals had complained about. Things like lights flickering in windows when the power had been shut down for years, or strange voices echoing across the trees at night. And I just sat there in my dorm room staring at the screen, heart pounding all over again, because I knew without a doubt that what I heard, that calm, unnatural voice upstairs, was not supposed to exist. And even now, sometimes when I'm driving late at night with the heat blasting and music playing just to keep me from falling asleep, I'll catch myself glancing in the mirror, half expecting to see that pale figure staring from the back seat, or worse, hear that same voice whisper from the shadows telling me to bring something upstairs. And I don't think I'll ever deliver to a house past dark again, because I can't shake the feeling that whatever was waiting for me in that abandoned place isn't stuck there at all. It's following, patient, quiet, waiting for me to take one wrong step into the dark again.